Yes, welcome to another edition of This is Mappa, Cypriot football podcast where there's nothing but shenanigans. I love it. I've got Roy, I've got Kyri. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine Thursday evening? I have to check what day it was.
Yeah, man, fine. I had my third jab a few hours ago, and I also felt like I was catching a cold. So I don't know
The
whether what I'm
symptoms or
feeling is mostly like from the jab or from the cold. But yeah, I don't see how I'm going to manage the whole day today with all the games coming up.
oh yeah, Europa League tonight, Conference League tonight as well. Yeah, oh blimey, Jesus. Kyri, you okay, my friend?
Yeah, I mean it's Thursday, and I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it. It's been a heavy week, but yeah, not bad. Other than that, looking forward to the next. Looking forward to 48. Well, it's 24 hours from now. Hopefully, we're a calmer Friday evening.
Don't blame me, mate. Don't blame me. All right, let's get this show on the road. We're going to review the weekend's games, and we're going to do something a little bit different because a lot has happened. A lot has happened. But let's get right into it, and let's discuss some of the games. Let's go with Apollon winning 1-0 at Ethnikos, business as usual. It was one-way traffic, to be honest. There's a penalty shot earlier on. Iliev being brought down looked like more of a bit of a shove. But again, as I said, on numerous occasions, I've seen them given in this league. There's a chance where Stel almost put it ahead. There was a chance where they hit the post Apollon. Albanis also shot wide. But the winning goal came from Wellington, a guy who last week Kyri was talking about. And yeah, fantastic header. Even though his first header went wayward, it kind of stayed in. And it was recycled by Psicha. His cross was fantastic. And there was Wellington to get the winner. Kyri, you must be pleased given the result, given the manner of the victory. You were plugging away, weren't you? But you got the victory. So
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird game, I guess. A lot of possession, a lot of kind of passing the ball around, Ethnikos trying to find an opening. Obviously, they defended very staunchly, and I don't blame them. We've talked about how they are in a lot of danger. They're in a very difficult situation. They actually could have nicked a goal before we scored. Obviously, I'm jumping ahead. But yeah, I felt like all in all, we kind of like deserved the win. But this is reminiscent of the first 3 or 4 games for Apollon. Okay, with an improved performance, but more so in terms of scraping by. It wasn't like you knew from the beginning that you were going to get the 3 points. They made us work really hard. For Wellington, yeah, good for him. Basically, there's no ill will from myself towards him, but having talked with some fans and obviously seeing things online, it seems to be like a consensus of, yeah, he's been underwhelming so far. But obviously, this is a really crucial goal. And again, jumping way ahead, but the way these things usually are assessed is, do you win something at the end of the season or not? So if you do, this goal is invaluable. If not, they'll say this is a bad transfer. So it's one of those things, right? So if those 3 points really matter come the end of the season, his transfer might be viewed differently. But even now, after the game where he scored like a super crucial goal, you still hear fans, well, yeah, but we still need to upgrade on him. Yeah, broadly speaking, these are my thoughts.
do you know what Wellington reminds me of? He reminds me of, Space Jam. You know when the Monstars took the powers of all the NBA players? It's almost as if he's taken Eustace's powers because he's practically a similar player, isn't he? If you want to talk about his range of passing, his heading ability, he's a very similar player. But I remember when he joined Apollon and I saw some clips on his actual Instagram. I was like, this guy's a player. Like he can spray a 40-yard ball, no problem.
Yeah, but that's kind of it.
Well, judging by the first header, that kind of sums it up his time so far. The second header was brilliant, though.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's more athletic than Eustace, and they have a comparable passing range. But I would take Eustace defensively any day of the week. It's no comparison. And also, like, in terms of like leadership and just like a presence in the back four. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Like I said, I don't know how it's going to go in the like down the line, and also technically, like, a goal like this is more of an indictment on your forwards rather than praise for your CB. Obviously, you take it. You take these things when you can get them, but a goal is not going to make a defender for me in my books ever, excluding players like crazy level like a Reece James or a Trent Alexander-Arnold, where you're going to get more than one goal. It's not a lucky one. It's not a fluke. You're going to get an attacking threat every time, every game. But it's like in this instance, is like, I don't know, like it's like a John O'Shea goal. You know what I mean? You're not going to look at that and say, I want that player to play week in, week out. Although I'm not disparaging John O'Shea.
He played in goal. He played in goal.
Yeah, he played from attacking like winger to goalkeeper. So yeah. Anyway,
and
my opinion about the game, I think it was a difficult game because you were playing against a team that the new manager was in the stands. You were playing away from home, and you had 8 or 9 players missing. And what makes it very important for me, the victory of Apollon was probably the most important win of the season, because you're playing against a team that's last. And up until the dying minutes of the game, it seemed like we were going to drop points, and you didn't. And we say here in Cyprus, this is a game that gives you the championship. Because when you look at it at the end of the season, if you do not win the league, you're thinking, it's the 2 points I dropped against Tachna. And for me, it's very, very important win for Apollon, even though, okay, the logic said that they were favorites. It was the first team versus the last team on the table. But when it's the 80-odd minute and then it doesn't go in, you're starting to think that, it's probably 2 points dropped. And with 8 or 9 players not playing. And, okay, the fact that the defender, Wellington, scored the goal, it might be a nice story. It might just be a nice way to say goodbye in January. I don't know how it will change, the things. It's something similar to Omonoia. For the past month and a half, 2, we were thinking that there were a lot of contenders to go in January. But now that everyone stepped up their game, it's very difficult to decide who you're going to let go. But anyway, I think we should move on swiftly to the other games, because the way we're going, I don't think we're going to have time to talk about it.
All right.
Sorry, I was going to say very quickly, speaking of Apollon CBs, just to mention it very quickly for the people who haven't seen it. Obviously, this might not go through, but ex-Apollon defender Attila Zalai, playing for Galatasaray, has been linked with a move to Chelsea.
Fenerbahce.
Sorry, Fenerbahce.
Don't get them mixed up.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to piss off a lot of people. Although, if you are watching, by all means, feel free to hate us in the comments and give us a few views. But yeah, no, linked with a move to Chelsea. Someone, Rossi, the Hungarian coach, said with a lot of certainty that the move is wrapped up, £20 million, which, if I'm not mistaken, would make him the most expensive or most highly valued player after having left Cyprus. If I'm not mistaken, I think the last one might have been Ailton from Apoel.
Yeah.
But I might be. Yeah, I have something that to check out. And I actually did inquire if Kyri, the Apollon chairman, included a sell-on clause. And although I haven't received a certain answer. I've been told that it's highly likely that there is a clause.
It's 10 or 15%.
It's
I heard it from.
In that region.
I'm not sure if Michalis Konstantinou also was worth a lot, because back in the day when he moved from Iraklis to Panathinaikos, I think they paid a lot of money. I don't know how much it was worth, because at the time it was a long time ago, but it's something to look into.
I mean, with inflation, it might have been comparable.
Yeah, but even so, I don't know how many million. Yeah, okay, it wasn't 20 million for sure, but yeah. Okay,
There
so
we go.
what's
All
the
right.
next game we got lined up still?
Let's move on, boys, and let's move on to our mate Matt Derbyshire, who scored 4 goals. 4 goals against Loxa for Ike. Loxa getting a goal ahead through Sadiq, who's just a goal machine. That goal went to VAR, but yep, he was onside. And it was a match show. A lovely header, pulled them level, which we're about to see. And his second goal, gentlemen, which again is taking a bit of time to show. Here comes the first goal, a lovely header, vintage Matt. The second goal was kind of like Marco van Basten. I messaged him. I was like, "Yeah, what are you, Matt? Was it Matt Marco van Derbyshire? What is this? Great finish." His third goal, poacher's finish, and the fourth was just perseverance. He took one shot, saved another shot, and then put it in for his fourth goal. And what a signing he's proving to be. Now the next game, Omonoia beating IL by a goal to 0. Not much really happening here. We've seen Shepovic hit the post. IL didn't do too much. In fact, we did our podcast, Roy, and we were saying IL only really woke up with half an hour to go when they made the triple change and brought on Torres. But the winning goal coming from Lesiaks, a corner, believe it or not, which led to a goal. And IL's defending statuesque. They just stood there. I think Vozinha was the only person that went for the ball, really. It was a terrible goal to concede. You look at the replay, no one moving. I mean, the zone of marking was great, but in terms of moving for the ball, heading it, no one. In fact, one player backs out the way, which is ridiculous. But apart from that, and maybe a chance from Santos in the last 20 minutes, Omonoia rarely threatened. Roy, we spoke about this. So, Kyri, did you watch this one?
I watched the second half because I was away from home during the first half. Yeah, like you said, it seemed like they woke up too late. I mean, they did have a lot of possession in the second half, but didn't really do much with it. Obviously, we can see they threatened a couple of times, but nothing too crazy. And yeah, I thought you would have scored a second one in the 74th through Loizos. But that piece of defending, like you said, where do you even begin? Leaving the ball sail over the person who was supposedly defending the near post, the keeper standing next to Lesiaks taking pictures, asking for autographs. I don't know. Yeah, terrible.
It's a difficult time for IL. From what I've heard, with Vozinha going to Africa Cup of Nations, they're looking to sign a goalkeeper on loan. I don't know how true that is. That's from what I've heard. But Gerges, we said it last week, it was a forlorn character on the touchline. He's gone. In fact, he walked, as far as I'm aware. Or was it a mutual termination? As far as I'm aware, he walked. I'm not sure if that's true, if he decided to leave. But he's out the door. And who do you think is going to get the job now, boys? Because this is a big task for IL.
They already gave the job to Savas Pandelidis.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. See, there you go. I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, he already trained the team today, if I'm not mistaken, or even maybe yesterday. He was a manager, Aris Thessaloniki. The last team he had, or was it someone? I know for a fact that when IL played against Aris Thessaloniki a couple of years ago in Europe, he was the manager there. He did a good job in Greece, but I don't know much about him.
There was the editor of the main website of Aris, of a fan site of Aris Thessaloniki, gave an interview to Gerkida, and he said He's not afraid to put his hand in the fire. He's a hard worker, and he works long hours to implement his coaching mentality.
Okay, sounds fair.
That's he said that, and then he said he'll make sure that a player performs to the best of their ability. I mean, that's a glowing endorsement, but obviously it's hard to see. It's hard to guarantee with coaches, that things work out. And obviously, Greek managers in Cyprus haven't really done too well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Petragis did well at Olympiacos. Didn't really do too well. Yeah, Lamoni, yeah. But with
Donis stopped well.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking of a lot of other, I think maybe mid-table team ones, or
Okay.
I don't know. But I might, actually, those are two good examples. Although I think my brain is trying to delete Donis from its memory because he's a scary-looking guy, and he's always on the verge of barking at you, especially in the media. But that's actually a good example. Yeah.
There we go. And Roy, the commentator, after Matt grabbed his foot, he said, "Darvish bine do oblodu simera." So he's brought his gun with him today. He's got his pistol. You can't rule this guy out, man. It doesn't matter how old he is; he'll get you goals.
For sure. I mean, it made AEK fans really happy. It made Omonoia fans nostalgic. And there's the game coming up against them on Monday, so he better put his pistols back for Monday.
Yeah, keep your shooting boots at home. Bring flip-flops. It's fine.
Exactly. So yeah, but nothing but respect and love for Matt. And I mean, he's doing his job. It was another day in the office for Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, boys. Right, next game. Wow. Okay. Anorthosi. it's another one for Anorthosi, man. And do you know, it seems to be a trend with this club. I don't know how they lost this one again. Another game where they'll wonder how they didn't win this one. The fact is they can't defend, and they're inconsistent in front of goal. They had so many chances prior to going a goal down against newly promoted BAEK. In fact, they were 2-0 down before pulling it level to 2-2. But boys, what's going on with this club? What is going on with this club? We speak about them every week, about their inability to defend, their wastefulness in front of goal. As we've seen again, just static, absolutely static ball watching. Okay, they did very well to get back into the game. In fact, I think they had a chance where they claimed that the ball crossed the line, but we saw clearly it didn't cross the line. Pulled it back to 2-2, but then they ended up losing 3-2. What is there left to say about Anorthosi that we haven't already said on this podcast? Anyone?
I mean, very briefly, they're not really good or really bad at anything. They just seem like. Do you know what I mean? Because they obviously score every game. They obviously create every game, and they obviously concede every game. So it's not like they have a really solid foundation at the back from which to build on. Nor do they have an extremely efficient attack from which to compensate for the goals they concede. And that's about it. I mean, there's some weird things with Anorthosi, but obviously there is a little bit of bad luck as well. I mean, okay, people can say there's no such thing as bad luck in football. You're either good at something or you're not very good at it. You either practice at eliminating your deficiencies or you don't. But I don't know. They can say that they deserved a few more points. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the thing with Apollon that Roy was mentioning before, where Apollon kind of scraped by against Aris and Achna twice, those 3 games. Anorthosi had the opposite. They not only did they not scrape by, but they lost. So yeah, I don't know if Roy wants to add anything to this.
I think it was well said. I like the way you described it. Even though the main characteristic of the league this far is that Omonoia and Anorthosi Hapoel that are the traditional top 6 clubs, have been struggling with their performances this far. And Orthosis seemed to have this instability, but during the games, it's not as if they had a bad period, like, for example, AL that has gone for 6 games without winning. And Orthosis at the same time gives you the impression that they can win a game. And then at the same game, for example, look at the games with the European games against Flora. 2-0 up, 2-2. Now 2-0 down, they make it 2-2, they lose 3-2. So the games are interesting, but I think that from a manager's perspective, you'd be really pissed off to see those mistakes. I mean, some of the mistakes, especially the defense, but also the attack, but mostly the defense is schoolboy errors, and these are not mistakes that a professional team should be doing. So I don't know whether it's the ability, because I think the quality of the defense is not bad. Rizvani's played in a decent level in Greece, and I think he played outside of Greece as well. Was it in Belgium, if I'm not mistaken, that Rizvani's played? They have a defender that all the teams might have wanted to have in the team, Arayuri. Arayuri was one of the best defenders in the league for 2 years, I think, in Pavos, and we saw him in the European Cup. And I can understand in the middle of the park they have some defensive midfielders. So I don't know. I haven't watched Anorthosis play like full 90 minutes, so I can understand. But from the highlights I'm seeing, the mistakes, I don't know. It's as if they're doing them on purpose. I don't know.
I think they're too passive. I think that, I don't know. They're caught. Sometimes they're caught between minds. But they do that thing that we've been saying since the beginning of the season, just like ball watching, unless then they switch really abruptly, like with Apollon. Once Apollon went down to 10, obviously, I know I'm not saying it's because of the red card, but it's like they received either an instruction or something, and then they decided to become more active, push up higher, mark tighter, get stuck in more, just more energetic, more proactive in terms of their defending. I don't know. It's a weird one, but I think it's also a little bit of rotation, and I'm also giving them a little bit of how do you say?
European games.
Yeah, like that's definitely a mitigating factor, and obviously it does affect Omonoia as well. It affected Omonoia a lot last year. So there's that element as well, because Getspaya has to think about rotation, who's going to come in, who's going to be rested. And I don't think he actually found the perfect balance. I mean, I'm going to say, yeah, because it's over, or it might be over if not a miracle happens tonight. But for example, like with Flora, it was Avram for both goals. So if someone else had been there, it might have been a case where they actually nicked a better result. So I don't know. It's hard.
The thing is, they don't have a recognised striker in the team. Like against Bayek, they didn't have a number 9 at all. Rochelle was on the bench. Gacharava was on the bench. This is a guy that we said last week they didn't want.
Gacharava came in, right?
I saw him in the highlights.
He came off the bench, yeah.
Came off the bench. Well, that's the thing. How do you alienate your 2 main strikers?
Your godson.
In one day. In one day. So
But the issue Anorthos is facing is mostly defensive. They score a goal, they get goals from all around the pitch. I'm not saying that what they did was right, but I think it's defensively that Anorthos is got a problem.
But I think it might be a little bit related, because when they go down 1 or with Bayek 2, and you commit all those players forward to try and desperately get an equalizer or a winner, and you stay in that mode of chasing it, you leave gaps. I think that's what happened with Bayek, at least.
You're vulnerable in the back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
He went with Antoniadis and Rizvani at centre back. Arayuri was on the bench. and he's arguably their best central defender. So
No.
I don't know whether this gets fireable again.
No disrespect to Andoniadis. I don't really rate him as a centre back.
He's injured
I
now.
know that's where he started, but with Abuel he played left back as well. But I don't know. I'm not too hot on him. I mean, he's a professional player and everything, and I'm not trying to disrespect him. But I don't know if that's your third choice, CB, going into the season. Maybe the summer planning didn't go as planned.
Yeah. Well, boys, before we move on, very, very quickly, Roy mentioned a rumor yesterday that Larco, the former Omonoia technical director, could be going to Anorthosis. Now, we mentioned Anorthosis' transfer dealings and how they've made some questionable signings. If this rumor is true and he does indeed become their new technical director, what does this mean for the club in terms of their transfer ability? Sorry.
We exchanged some messages on the group chat we've got there, and even though Getspaya seems like he wants to run things by himself, I think that maybe he's come to a point where he understands that he needs some people next to him, and if he accepts, someone to be next to him, he obviously won't want him to overpower him. So if they get, and Larco doesn't have a problem being in the background. So for example, if they tell Larco, okay, your job is to go, scout and find players with those characteristics, he's going to get the job done. But if they're both there every day in the training ground and they start, it's not being made clear where someone's duties stop and others start, I don't think they're going to last together, because they're both very specific on the way they want to work, and they don't like others interfering in their job. So unless they make it perfectly clear to both of them what it is they want from them, and they just let it, okay, you're professional, you work things out, the best way possible, they're going to kill each other, I think.
We're going to do another podcast on that one day when that happens, isn't it? We need the whole podcast dedicated to the Larco Ketspire tete-a-tete, as they say. But let's move on to our final game, gentlemen. And to be honest, a lot happened in this one, but what happened off the field dominated proceedings. And we're going to go into Abuel against FC Buffer, a 1-1 draw at the Ghazibi. And it started off pretty well for Abuel, a few half chances. But a potential handball on Valakari later on, I should say in the 35th minute, where actually the ball ended up in his midriff. So I don't think anyone could have given a penalty for that, even the most bent VAR officials. But Garo had two chances, one at the beginning and one as we were about to see. But they were just half chances, to be honest, for Abuel. But they took the lead later after a handball by Mikhail Nadal and made it 1-0. Who else? Because he seems to be the only one putting the ball in the back of the net for them at the moment. Kvilitaya sure as hell isn't. But then Douglas Aurelio scored arguably one of the goals of the season in the 88th minute. In fact, that was Buffer's first shot on target, believe it or not. And he put it in the bottom corner, a goal that we're going to see in just a moment. But there were also 3 penalty claims from Buffer in this one, which we're going to see after this goal. There was a foul on Zairo by Vinicius, which was ignored. A possible foul on Baitz afterwards, and then one at the end as well in injury time. But gentlemen, we'll talk about this game very, very quickly. Did you guys see the penalty incidents? I mean, we're just about to see them now. Did you guys see anything there? Possibly one of the 3 penalties should have been given, because I think at least 2 of them should have been.
The first one, I think it's the first one chronologically. The one where the defender's on the right hand side of the player, and it's kind of like tackling air, right?
Yeah,
it's a weird one. I'm actually divided on that one. But the only thing I'll say is that the commentator said and we can see the player nicking the ball here. You can you can argue that it wasn't a pen, that it was a bad tackle, but not enough to take the player down. I think
this is it right here. I mean, from that angle, it looks like he's won the ball. But when you look at it from a different view, for me, it's stone wall. Yeah.
The thing is, if the player tried to stand up, so it's a bit. I don't know. Even now, I'm not sure. You can go both ways, but I know for sure that he didn't hit the ball. And I was like, my guys at Cable Net need to relax a little bit with these calls.
Well, this one I think was a pen. I think this was a pen. Zabala's actually put his left leg across and tripped up Bites. If you look at his left leg, he's actually judo tripped him. That for me is a pen. And this one could have been given as well, right at the end. I think the player makes a meal out of it, to be honest. But if you watch it again, I don't know, man. It looks like the players tripped the man, and the player's fallen on the ball. Look at that. It looks like he's taken the man. I don't know.
The thing is, remember when we said, I mentioned this, I think twice in previous episodes, when certain things went to VAR that were extremely marginal, and fine, it went to VAR, the decision was whatever the decision was, and I said, I don't care as long as there's consistency. And none of these things went to VAR, right?
None that I know of. No, none that I know of.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, okay, obviously you don't want to stop the game every time there's a claim and every time there's a tumble, but one of the three. Yeah, exactly. One of the three could have gone to VAR. That's it. That's my comment on that.
I was listening to the sports radio show, and for me, I see those sorry, desfasis βλέπουν desfasis, ας πούμε, and I'm thinking how football's become very soft, man. These for me are not penalties. I don't know. For me, these are none of them are okay. Not none of them, but it's very easy penalties. It's a man's game. Okay, get up, man. Just play on. It's become very soft. Football's become like you give the card very easily.
Yeah, but Roy, if those fouls were committed on the halfway line, they'd have been given as free kicks. In this league.
Okay, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. It's generally this is what I'm talking about. I don't know. For me, football's become very soft, and I don't like that. Whatever.
All right. Well, look, Kyri might have to bounce in just a moment, but before he leaves, let's quickly talk about the incident involving Jason Puncheon and the racist chants by some Apoel fans. I use the word some because it wasn't all of them. Some Apoel fans, and the story goes. Punch and a lot of black players were being racially abused. There were monkey chants. And after the game, Jason Puncheon came out, gave an interview, post-match interview saying, I played over 500 games. This has never happened before. Absolutely shocking. Bedevinos, who's the director of communications at Apoel, then came out and said, we're going to look into this. We don't know what's happened, but we're going to look into this. The following morning, Apoel put out a statement saying, we condemn the racism, but Jason Puncheon should be talking about ethics. He's an ethics teacher because he's been arrested for assault, and they started listing all the things that he's done wrong. And they used the word obloforia, which basically means weapon, but it derives from the word gun. Then Buffer came out with a statement saying, well, you guys can't talk because you didn't condemn the actions of your supporters that attacked our coach and some of the under-19 players, the thing that we discussed the other week. I've spoken to Punch myself, and I don't think he'll mind me saying he's absolutely incandescent, not only because of the racism, but also because of Apoel's statement. This has spiraled out of control, but it's almost as if it's been swept under the carpet now. Kyri, do you know anything that's been said since? Because I haven't read anything.
I mean, let's not mince words here. Everything about this is disgusting. Disgusting. Obviously, I was not at the game, but my first inclination is to believe the player, because why would he lie about it 500 games into his career, 550 games, 20 years into playing football? No reason. And going by the history of Abuel fans, not all of them, I'm not talking about all of you guys, so please, almost every Cypriot club has racist fans, especially the ones that are more linked to kind of like Greek nationalism. So I'm not saying that you are the villains of Cyprus, but you have a lot of them. And you need to accept this and do something about it, because your club isn't doing anything about it. And not only is it not doing anything about it, but it's apologizing for it. It's because the second statement the day after was ridiculous. And I told you guys, okay, there's an element of Abuel doubling down because Omonoia mentioned it. And I told you the example, if Omonoia says oxygen is good, Abuel will stop breathing and just die, just because Omonoia said it. It's true. But guys, like, this has to stop. And there was an article by Anthier Moyenus in
It's beautiful
in
article.
Today. I'm talking to Abuel fans and to other fans as well. It's a tough read, but it has to be read. And I applaud her because she puts her name down. And a lot of sports writers in Cyprus don't put names when they say anything that might tick off a fan base, because they're afraid of losing clicks, views, subscriptions. We've seen how CableNet glossed over it entirely. So this is not good enough. And
the thing is, Kyri, I've got to commend Anthi for writing that article, because she's put her own welfare on the line here as well. Because it's a controversial one, but it is factual. She hasn't gone by conjecture. Everything is facts. And given the way that some people can be, Cyprus being a small island, okay, you can have someone saying stuff on social media to you, but there are idiots out there that would confront the girl about it. And hats off to her for having the courage to put her name on that article. Absolutely brilliant. I actually asked her to come on, but unfortunately she's busy today. But it would have been great to talk to her. But yeah, hats off to her.
And I know the three of us discussed also an article written by Christos Zavos, which added a different perspective into the discussion, which is something I mentioned as well, which is, okay, every team or the whole of society has these idiot is almost too soft of a word, but let's use that for the time being, in their ranks. But in this specific case, the most recent example is Abuel, and it has to be discussed, because whatever happens now sets a precedent, right? So, Gob, where's your ban? Where's your fines? Show me that you're looking into it. Show me that there's a structure, that there's a process in place. Because tomorrow might happen. I don't know. Paphos, I don't know. Okay, maybe not Paphos after this incident, but somewhere else. It might happen again with Abuel. It might happen somewhere where you don't expect it, like a club that's less inclined to such behaviors. But there has to there has to be a protocol, something, a reference point. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. Because I don't know if this is going to be escalated outside of Cyprus as well, with the UEFA, with the Players Union, with Kick It Out.
Well, I can tell you myself, I've spoken to Troy Townsend about this. He's fully aware of it. And I know Punch is going to take this to another level, whether it be with UEFA, whether it be with his solicitors. Now, from what I understand, he's extremely angry with the racism, but he's also angry with the terminology used by Abuel. Now, listen, I'm no thesaurus, I'm no expert at Greek, but I'm sure there's another word to describe weapon. And the fact that the word oblot is included in that word, it's given people the impression that the weapon that he used was a gun.
But by the way, something that I forgot to mention is that beyond the phrasing from Abuel, there's a bigger point here, which is whatever someone may or may not have done in their past does not excuse racist behavior. It's stupid to think that. And I'm not sure if they thought that they were making some gotcha kind of point, some intelligent argument there, but it's completely devoid of reasoning and class and respect for a player who played in the best league in the world for years
in the FA Cup final as well.
For years and years. This is completely stupid. I'm sorry. There's no softer word.
Let me just add something to what you were saying. Punch did something wrong, okay, but he paid for it. Okay, he did something wrong because what he did maybe wasn't right, but he went on trial. Justice was served. He had to pay an X amount. He was put there, to stand there, and everyone was pointing a finger at him. He wasn't going through the best phase of his career. Maybe professionally it affected him as well. And then, 10 years later, he continued doing his thing. He tried to. What about them? What about them? Who's going to see them? Abuel could have said, okay, just, English people say manners cost nothing. They could have said, we condemn this, we're sorry. They could have tweeted, smash racism, or we are really sorry, whatever, just so, people will shut up. But instead of fucking shutting up, they just come out and put Undo Ladistifos. They're provoking even more. They're saying, if someone did say something, and they prove it, and they find him through the fans card, and they did this, but we're not going to accept ethical lessons from a hypocrite and or whatever like them, and Omonoia are hypocrites, and just shut your fucking mouth. They're the same team that 3 weeks ago the player gave a finger to I don't know how many hundreds of fans, and they were trying to convince us that he was pointing at the corner. I mean, okay, we're not stupid. And I say, I've spoken to people since, and what, some people genuinely, they tell me, hey, you know what? They don't know what they're doing. They're not bad people. They were just trying to
Roy, this
make him lose his cool,
This is ignorance. I showed you the WhatsApp conversation I had. The Instagram conversation. Someone messaged me on Instagram. I'm not going to mention his name, but he said to me, "What's the difference between saying to someone F your mum or making monkey noises?" I'm like, there is a massive difference. There is a massive difference. I don't even need to educate him about slavery and everything that's happened to black people over the last 400 or 500 centuries, however long it is. But for you to compare saying F your mum to making monkey noises, that tells you where the problem is. That tells you exactly where the problem is. That says you're part of the problem if you believe that's true. I'm sorry. This thing, it grates me. This ignorance, this stupidity, these morons, utter morons. And I'll tell you something for now, Kyri. I know you need to leave in just a moment, right? You mentioned sanctions. What's the worst that's going to happen to Abuel? They get made to play behind closed doors. They don't have any fans going to the stadium anyway. What's the difference?
I know, but it's still, the bar is so low that this would actually be an improvement. And it's obviously an indictment on everything related to football in Cyprus, that at least a sanction of some kind would be an improvement. But I completely understand what you're saying, and you definitely have a point, because you can't, I don't think you can actually fix these people if they're 30, 40 years old. Very rarely do these people change how they think. But at least there has to be something official. There has to be something official. That's it. I mean, yeah.
Well, I agree. And I just hope that something will be done about this very, very soon. If not, watch this space. Right, gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up with just the league table. As you can see at the bottom, Apollon sit top on 25 points, Ajax second on 24, Aris third on 20, Olympiacos on 15 points, Buffalo and Upwell locked on 14 points, Omonoia 13 points with a game in hand. Anotosi the same, but they don't have a game in hand. AL 9. 2 games in hand on Omonoia, yes. That's right. Ajax on Monday, and then Upwell with the rearranged fixture, which we're going to talk about in the next episode because we've done 45 minutes of this. AL, Doxa, Bayek, and Ethnikos. We said it before. Ethnikos are practically done. Bayek are fighting. Doxa have got a new head coach. That might make a big difference, but I don't know. Gentlemen, it's been a fantastic episode. Kyri, thank you for jumping on. I know you were pressed for time. Roy, thank you as well. I'll speak to you in just a moment because we're recording in a bit. Before we go, anything to add?
Fuck racism.
Yeah, bravo, Refile.
There you go. So until next time, Gobella will be back next week. Take care.
See you guys.